When I was in Boy Scouts, every year I'd go to this camp for a weekend where everybody had to take classes in camping-related stuff. And one of my teachers was really into Star Wars. He kept doing these impersonations of Darth Sidious, which was weird, but he also spent a ton of time during class talking about Star Wars Galaxies. Mainly how the game sucked because they changed everything, and now the game was awful and everybody should hate them forever. But that was the first time I'd ever heard about Star Wars Galaxies, so I was like, wait, there's a Star Wars MMO? So pretty much as soon as I got home, I used my pocket change to purchase a copy of Star Wars Galaxies, and quite frankly, that was a great decision, because this game was awesome! You could be a bounty hunter and hunt down other players who got on the Empire's bad side, which I didn't do because I sucked at the game. Or you could be an entertainer who just spends their entire day dancing. I guess the goal was to have players give you money for your performance, kind of like a stripper. That one was weird. Also, you could be a hairstylist, but my favorite was the trader. The whole goal for this guy was literally just to build stuff and then sell it. You could set up shop inside your own house and then get NPC characters to act as vendors, and then other players would just show up like, I heard you had a life jacket? Why, yes I do, but it's for Authorians only. Nobody's buying a life jacket. What am I talking about?
You wanna buy some
Life jackets? There's this quest with a bunch of spiders, and I completed most of the quest, except for there was one last part where you had to kill this queen spider, and I could not find her. I kept on going through it and fighting all these giant spiders, and I kept on looking in this big empty room, and I'm like, there's nothing in here. So eventually I walked in, and I was looking around, and I was like, the only thing that's in here are these 8 giant poles. And I was like, wait a second. And I looked up, and there was this huge freaking spider just staring down at me like I'm a moron. It was terrifying. The spider was really easy to kill though, so it wasn't really that bad. I had a pet Bantha who'd follow me everywhere and help me in my battles. I believe his name was just Bantha, but I can't remember. Getting a pet though was not like in other online games because you could literally get every animal in the game as a pet. You just found one you liked, and then you killed it. Jesus, that's terrible. But it's okay because now that it's dead, you can extract its DNA for use in your pet incubator. And this thing, it would slowly develop into a baby, which would then follow you around, slowly leveling up into a fully grown animal. Or you could just stuff your pets and put them on display. If you're a psychopath! I legit had to murder Bantha to get this footage, and I'm actually really fucking depressed about it. One time in a rare moment of social extroversion, I decided to join a guild for a while, but I think the server that I was on called Bloodfin must have been a roleplay server, because when I joined, they wanted me to do a bunch of weird activities. I mean, not like that weird, but they wanted me to prove myself by running across some sand. I don't like sand. And then I had to swim out in the ocean for a while, and I'm also pretty sure they made me recite an oath, which I probably did not follow very well. There was this one guy in the guild who's gonna delete one of his characters, so they decided to hold a court case for him, with lawyers and a judge and everything, all battling over his fate. It went on for a while. Obviously, they found him guilty, and then they executed him. He was dead. Until he respawned in the med bay and logged off. When they first told me that the guy was gonna delete his character, I was like, good, the guy sucks anyway. And the guy was like, you know that was just my alternate character, right? And I was like, yeah, I was just role-playing, it was just a joke. And oh my god, fuck. Around this time, a bunch of other guilds got together, including the one I was a part of, and decided to form an alliance between all of the guilds. We all gathered at this giant council chamber in the middle of nowhere, and they started talking about what to do next. I don't think it went anywhere though, because I don't remember it happening ever again. I'm not entirely sure what my role was supposed to be in the whole thing, because I definitely was not on the council. I was just standing off to the side watching it all happen. I remember thinking I was a security guard, but they probably just told me that so I wouldn't get in the way. Especially since the debacle at the court case where I interrupted the proceedings by shouting objection. They weren't happy about that. When I wasn't bothering my guildmates though, I generally spent my time hanging out in my house. I had one in a random town on Tatooine. These towns were cool though because they were made entirely by other players. Usually someone would just plop down a house and then other people would set theirs near that guy and eventually it was a town. This wasn't separate from the world either. It was just right there in the middle of the game and anybody could come and see it. If you were a really ambitious player though, you could create a city with gardens and med bays and every player who had a house in the city limits had to pay taxes. But I'm not about that lifestyle, so I didn't have a house in the city. You could even design your own quests too, but I didn't really know how to do that. I had this game guide for Star Wars Galaxies that I found at GameStop. The price tag was marked $10, which I did not have, but since the game was so complicated, I thought that this would be perfect. So I begged my mom to buy it for me, but when we brought it to the counter and the guy scanned the book, the price on the screen came up as only 1 penny. Now that probably should have been a clue that something was not right. But both me and my mom were so excited about the fact that it was only a penny to really think about why that might be. As it turned out, the book in question was all about Star Wars Galaxies before they changed everything, which meant that all the information in the book was basically useless. But I didn't realize that because I was a stupid kid. By the way, this is the reason why that guy was so pissed off. Not because the book was inaccurate, but because back in 2006, 6, they changed pretty much everything about the game. They simplified it, they got rid of a ton of stuff, and even though they started bringing stuff back afterwards, a lot of people were not happy. Which, I mean, is understandable. I mean, if you were playing a game and then all of a sudden it was not that game anymore, you probably would be mad. Unfortunately though, I never really got to experience what the game was like before this because I didn't know it existed. But that means that all the experiences I had with the game were pretty positive. You know, except for the one about the spider.